This is Gadgets Top 321. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at the entry-level stub nib available from Pilot. Now, this nib is available on the Pilot Plumix, which I believe can be had for about $9 to $10. And it's an odd-shaped pen. I'm not a big fan of it. It seems more of like an artist's pen. It's got kind of an unconventional shape. The 1.0 stub nib is also available on the Pilot Metropolitan and the Pilot Prera that I have here. Now, you see on the nib it says for the size, it says CM. I believe that stands for calligraphy medium. Like if you're doing a search for this, you may search for 1.0 stub or CM nib for calligraphy medium. Now, you notice there's no tipping. And from what I gather, the difference between an italic nib and a stub nib like this one is how rounded the corners are of the two tines. Now, this one you can see that the corners are fairly rounded, so it's a stub. An italic, it would be more crisp, more of a straight line across. The upside on an italic nib is you get a more crisp italics in your writing, but the downside is it also tends to dig into the paper if you're not careful. So a stub nib is a nice compromise. It's usually a pretty smooth writing experience, and in this case it is. It's a very pleasant, smooth writing experience. Now, you'll see a lot of stubs start out as a 1.1, then the next size up will be a 1.5. This is usually marketed as a 1.0. And let's take a look at how this writes. May have to zoom out a little bit to get this to focus. I'm trying to pay closer attention to whether I'm focused during my writing samples. I haven't done a good job of paying attention to that. And part of the problem is my glasses. Okay. This is I like to, anytime I get a new ink, I like to put it in this Prera with the stub nib and do a writing sample here in my ink journal. It's fun to see the character of the different inks. They will look so different in different size nibs and different pens depending on how wet they write. Now this is just black, but you can get a sense of, I'm going to zoom out and then just lift it up here, of how crisp the italics is. Look how broad the downstrokes are compared to the side-to-side strokes. And it's a fun pen to use. Now, with this black ink, you know, the ink just looks black, but you really get some interesting, like with this Colorverse Golden Record, how different the ink looks in the stub nib compared to just a standard medium nib pen. Look at that shading. So if you don't have a stub nib in your collection, I only have this one, and I wouldn't want a ton of stub nibs in my collection, but this is a fun addition. Now, I picked this one up after I tried the Nimicine Singularity, and this has been a heartbreaking pen. I got it and I love the size. I love the feel of it in my hand. I love the shape of the section. And it's a 0.6. That was like the claim to fame of the Nimicine Singularities. You could get a 0.6 and a 0.8 stub nib. And this nib was super smooth, but the ink would just pour out. I would write with it, and you could lift up the nib, and ink would just drip out like a drippy faucet. I tried replacing the entire nib section. I tried using converter, cartridge. It was just heartbreaking. But you can't go wrong with Pilot. I've never had a bad experience with Pilot, and the Pilot stub nib is a really nice nib. It's a fun nib to have in your collection. So, if you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.